It's an unlucky quirk of fate or human existence that the things that we want tend to elude us the most. It's like whenever you really want something really, really badly, you really covet that thing, it tends to escape from you. It's almost like a law of physics, except it manifests in social dynamics or human behavior. I think if I had to say why this happens, it's because the neediness is leaky. All right, your neediness is leaky. So, say for example, you work with this girl and you've worked with her for a number of years and you've always secretly had a crush on her and you've never asked her out on a date, and but you really want a relationship with her. You really want something to happen, and you've built it up into your mind into this huge thing. You built it up into your mind into this massive soap opera story, and you imagine one day sweeping her off her feet in some kind of clever way, and you guys are going to get together and it's going to be amazing, it's going to be so happy and it's going to be wonderful, and you're going to get married and you're going to prove all the haters wrong and whatever else, right? And inevitably, well, not inevitably, because anything can happen in life, but there's a high likelihood, I would say, in that situation that it's just not going to happen. Okay, it's not going to happen because, for a start, you are seeking to get with somebody who already has a very preconceived idea of you. Okay, she's already put you into a box. She has most likely already put you into the colleague, friend zone-y type box, and to change her perception of you is going to be extraordinarily difficult, if not probably impossible, unless you left the job and went away for 5 years and did some really cool, exciting stuff and maybe improved your look, and then you came back almost as a different person, and she's like, wow, I didn't realize Troy was so cool, that's amazing, and the spark sort of ignites. But when you're in a situation of stasis, like you're just both working there, you go in every day, she sees you as a colleague, she sees you as a friend, it's all a little bit mundane. It's very, very hard to flip that into anything more. But the principle extends beyond that anyway. The principle of this need for things and the leakiness that creates extends out far beyond just the dating marketplace. It extends out far beyond just trying to get a wife or trying to get a girlfriend, although for our purposes that's maybe the most important manifestation of it. But it happens in life as well. It happens, say you want to get a job, right? You want to get a particular job and you really, really want that job, and you study really, you work really hard, you study really hard, you study up on the company, you study up on all of the top executives there, you look into it really, really deeply, and you spend ages on it, and then lo and behold, the job goes to someone else. All right, I'm sure we've all had that kind of experience before. It might happen if you want to go and live in a certain place, and you really, really work hard, and you really, really, really try to make it happen because you're fixated on this particular thing, and then for some reason it just doesn't end up happening. These are just examples, but you know what I'm talking about, right? You know this phenomenon, and I think it's something to do with the type of energy that you're putting out into the world. Because if you're putting out an energy into the world that is fundamentally needy, you need too much. And it's fine to want things, it's fine to have aspirations for certain things, but when it's tied to a very specific thing, like a person or a particular job or working for a particular company, often that doesn't end well. Instead, it's better to be a little bit more generalized with this stuff, right? It's better to be a little bit more sort of, okay, I would like to work in tech, all right? So there's a variety of companies that I could work for, and I'm going to apply to all of them, and if I work, if I present myself well, then hopefully one of those companies will take me on. But when you are super focused on one particular firm, that's when it starts to slip out of your grasp, and we talk about this dating stuff all the time. We talk about guys' difficulties in the dating market, and part of that, I'm sorry to say, is fueled by the fact that these guys just want the outcome too much. And there's a paradox here, because we always say, I always say, you need to have a strong why, okay? And that's true, because it's not particularly easy to practice social skills. It's not always particularly comfortable, right? It can be embarrassing, it can be dispiriting, you can be hurt when you get rejected, right? You can feel the sting of that, okay? It's not always the most comfortable, beautiful experience, okay? Although there are moments of beauty, there are moments of joy to be found in it as well, but also a lot of consternation along the way, okay? And so you've got to be prepared to roll with the punches, but in the end, what you're aiming for is, you've got this strong why, and that's great, but you've also got to disassociate yourself from being too concerned with individual outcomes. So you meet somebody and you like her and you think, oh, this could be great, you know, I'd love to go out with her, whatever. And she turns you down for some reason, okay? You have to be all right with that. You have to be in a mental place where you say, okay, that's it, fine, whatever, have a great life. It's not an issue, right? You don't want to get butthurt about it. You don't want to get angry about it. I mean, God forbid, you don't want to get angry about it. You don't want to get up in your thoughts about it the whole time. You have to let things go, all right? There's almost a Zen-like aspect to this in a way. You have to just allow it to flow off you like water, all right? But the bigger goal is, I want to get better with women. I want to get better at dating, right? I want to have more options. Okay, well, you could do that, but just maybe not with that specific person, and that's okay. All right, we have to accept that. And sometimes I think all of these guys who make this content where they are slating women and they're complaining about, oh, women's standards and women are like this and everything, I always think some of that is driven by personal experience. There's no doubt, right? Some of these guys have come out of toxic relationships, they come out of bad divorces, whatever, right? And they know what happened with their ex, right? They know intimately that situation, but then they just apply it to everybody else. They just assume that situation is going to be the same with every other female on the planet. You see, women are like this is just how it is. Well, that's not how it is, because there are billions of women on the planet, and all of them are going to act slightly differently, okay, in different situations. There's not just one cookie cutter, there's not just one cookie cutter template for how every single individual is going to act, right? So you can't really say, oh, you know, they're all like this, they're all like that. It's like saying all men are like this, all men are like that. Well, we know that that's just nonsense, okay? We know that there are men with very different temperaments and very different tastes, and who would do very different things than we would do, right? We know that from our own life experience. So it's absurd. Nevertheless, of course, there are some general patterns that we can observe. There are some general trends that we can observe, and we can say, yeah, that seems to happen more often than not. But even then, you've got to hold it lightly. You've got to wear it lightly like a loose garment, okay? You don't want to wear it too tightly like this is just a law written in stone, and it's irrefutable. There is no way that anybody is ever going to behave differently to this. It's just not the case, all right? But the danger of that kind of thinking is guys will get there when they've had a few bad experiences. Well, you've had a few bad experiences. Well, so have we all, right? I've had bad experiences. You know, the experiences were, I would say, worse when I was in my early 20s and when I just literally didn't know anything about any of this stuff. I had no clue even really what a functioning relationship should look like, okay? Well, my experiences were really bad there on occasions. But then, as I went on, and as I grew and as I became more adept and I became, I suppose, better at understanding what I wanted and having boundaries and this kind of thing, my relationships with women got markedly better. So it wasn't the women that changed, it was me that changed, okay? I showed up in a different way. I put out different energy, and therefore I got treated differently by the universe. And so the other thing about this is you've got to think, well, how much of this is me? Because you've heard the expression before, right? You've heard this idea, but if you go out and everybody that you meet in the day is an arsehole, maybe it's you who's the arsehole, right? Maybe it's you who's the problem, because you are the common denominator of all of those interactions. And so we tend to get in life what we reflect out. We tend to receive what we give. And so you've got to be very careful about generalizing an experience that you've had with maybe one or two women, because the question then remains, well, what space were you in when you were in those relationships, right? Would a different guy with a different mindset in a different mental space, would he have experienced something differently with even those same women, right? Maybe he would. There's a lot of nuance to this, right? There's a lot of variables at play here, some of which we can see and discern and others we can't. And so, as I say, I mean, the whole point of this segue is just to make it clear that it's very important not to fall into negative thinking. It's very important not to fall into frustration and anger and resentment, okay? Because those things are incredibly corrosive for you. I mean, forget about trying to be sort of woke about this and say, oh, how do you view women and society? Forget about all of that. This is just incredibly corrosive for you, okay? And you don't want to be somebody who is living in resentment, because resentment is something that will gnaw away at you, right? It's going to eat you over time. It's going to consume you. And it's not a good look, and it's not a good way to live life. So just consider that you have to walk your own path with this stuff, okay? And you have to not be too fixated on one specific person and one specific outcome, right? This is about, with the social skills, developing a skill set, okay? This is about developing a toolkit which you can then take anywhere and you can utilize in different situations with different people all over the world for the rest of your life, okay? That's how you want to look at it. It's not, oh, well, you know, I watched all your videos and then I went and talked to this girl in McDonald's and she blew me out. WTF, right? It's not like that, okay? It's you can't, we always say, I mean, you can't, there's no magic key that will help you to get with anybody that you like, all right? It just doesn't work like that. There's going to be a large proportion of women that you meet who just aren't interested in you, okay? And you could say the cleverest thing in the world. You could come out with the best stories. You could do everything right. You could be charismatic, you could be charming, and she still wouldn't like you because you're just not her type. And again, you have to be okay with that, right? Guys will also set themselves up to fail because they will do things that are probably doomed to fail from the beginning, like the example we had at the beginning with the guy who's worked with somebody for 5 years and she's just not that into him, right? She's just not that interested. And why would she be? You know, you've never showed up as a potential partner before. You've never showed up as a potential boyfriend or lover before. You've been some dude that she works with who years ago she's put into a certain mental box. It's going to be very hard for you to get out of that. What is easier is to meet someone new and to make a new impression on them, okay? Because when you meet somebody for the first time, they don't know anything about you, all right? So the way that you show up for them, they're just going to go, all right, this is, okay, he's like that. He's this super charismatic extrovert guy, or he's this slightly mysterious guy, or he's whatever, okay? And you can recreate yourself in meeting new people. It's harder to recreate yourself in engaging with people that you've known for a period of time, okay? Because the first impression is very important, okay? The first meeting, the context of that meeting, how you show up in that first approach or in that first meeting is super, super key. And it's just much easier to make a good impression with new people that you meet. And this is why we're banging this drum for social interaction, because the more that you go out and you interact with new people, you meet new people, you could be making a new, fresh impression on people every day of your life, okay? And that's a wonderful freedom. That's a fantastic thing. But if you're just sort of, I mean, I've worked with clients who will come to me and they will say, yeah, I really want to get this stuff sorted. And then they'll go through a sort of shopping list of people that they kind of know, or they've, you know, maybe they've been on one date with and she didn't call him back. And it's like, well, There's Jane, okay, you know, I've worked with her for 10 years and, you know, I think there might be a bit of a spark there, but I'm not sure. And then there's Sheila, you know, we hung out for a while and it never really went anywhere, but, you know, I'm thinking maybe I can revive that. And my response to this is always, well, I mean, forget all of that. Let's go and bring some fresh blood into this. Let's go and meet some new people, okay? I would say that that is the more sensible route to take. It's the more logical route to take. And again, it's this problem of being fixated on the outcome in very specific situations, which are probably broken anyway, right? Which are probably just never, we're probably just never going to go anywhere, and for good reason. You're not meant to be with everybody. It's not meant to work out with every human being that you meet. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Please do subscribe to the channels. Give us a comment below. Let me know what you think about this. And our Course Approach Academy Accelerator is open now for new students. So if you want to learn this stuff in a more in-depth way with weekly Zoom calls with myself and James Task, 24/7 WhatsApp support, join that course. So drop me an email, troy@realtroyfrancis.com. Put your WhatsApp details, we can have a chat. We will also be in Rio de Janeiro for Carnival, 13th to 21st of February. We've got an event in Colombia as well, if that tickles your fancy, which is around the same time, early February, and then various other things coming up throughout the year. So drop me an email, again, troy@realtroyfrancis.com. Leave your WhatsApp details and we'll take it from there. I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.